studied jazz and popular music at the Tshwane University of Technology with cum laude graduation in 2020. In addition to having really made it so far in terms of a young career, she really was highly coveted at the Standard Bank National Youth Jazz Band in 2021, conducted under the guidance of Dr. Nduduzo Makatini. There's so many credentials to give her, but she's just released an EP that is sonically and lyrically exploring the beauty of one coming into her own in 2025. Rorisang joins us on the line. Thank you so much, Rorisang. You've got such a beautiful voice.
Oh.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I'm sure people tell you that. You probably hear it all the time. How do you navigate actually crafting this? Because we hear the final result, but as I was speaking of your journey, it comes from somewhere. You've crafted it, you've worked on it. When did this journey start for you to actually say, you know what, I've got a prized gift. I'm going to actually harvest it and actually use it to share it with others?
So thank you for having me here. I've always been within music. I come from a very musical family, and I guess it's always been in me to do music or to sing. But I think for me, 2023 was the turning point. The end of 2020 was the turning point for me. I had tried to release. I was obviously creating before 2023, but when 2023 ended, it was like, okay, after everything is done, I need to take this career seriously. I need to make sure that I actually do what has been placed on me. So 2024 comes, the South African State Theatre approaches me and they wanted me to be a part of the incubator program. And basically what that entailed was me releasing an EP. And because I did have music, I then connected with my producer and I was like, listen, we have this opportunity. Let's see what we can put together. So most of the music that I create is really based on my faith, based on my experiences, based on my perspective on life. It's really influenced by conversations that I have with people about regular things that affect us as human beings.
Yeah. Rorisang, it's actually hard to believe that you only just started taking your music career seriously, because many people will search and search for what they're meant to do and only later in their life start pursuing that. But you've been doing this since you were a child, and to some extent professionally so, being part of choirs and always being part of systems and places where you can sing and express yourself. What is it about this time in your life, now that you're releasing an EP, that is a musical coming of age for you, but perhaps a coming of age of many sorts? Tell us about this theme of coming of age in your EP.
So for me, as mentioned, 2023, let me just say I've always been afraid to pursue music as a career because I've been aware of how it is. A lot of people have told me that it's not a sustainable career to pursue. So I tried by all means not to go there. But when you're called to do something, no matter how many times you run away from it, you'll always find yourself there. And in 2023, I decided to take a different direction career-wise and pursue something corporate, but I just wasn't okay emotionally and mentally. And I encountered a person who told me, Rorisang, if you don't actively pursue your calling, you will continue to be fulfilled. And that was the wake-up call for me. And I think it was from that moment where I was like, you know what, you're pursuing something that isn't in line, or you've been pursuing something that isn't in line with you because you're so concerned about societal standards, societal timelines. And I think that's where the seed came into place. It really talks about appreciating each aspect of your life, whether it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the end, for you to experience the good, there is some bad, there is some darkness that you need to experience. So I use the analogy of a flower to say, if we are all different flowers in the same garden, who is to say you're blooming faster than the other? I'm also really questioning the term late bloomer. Who am I a late bloomer? How am I a late bloomer? And according to whose time? If I am a rose or an orchid and you are a flower, obviously our timelines will not be the same. It doesn't mean that I'm blooming later than the other. So it's just really about appreciating each phase of your becoming and just not being in comparison or comparing yourself with those around you.
It's beautiful music indeed. And you know what? I'm impressed in terms of the sense of spirituality that is embedded in your approach to your music, but also in your lyricism. We'll explore more of your The Seed in Full Bloom EP, but talk a little bit more about where you want to go, where you find yourself now, and how are you navigating the challenging music industry. We'll come back to you after the break. Stay on the line, Rorisang.
Call us on +27 63 406 9126 and contribute to the conversation. Africa, it's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K
or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. Join the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Palesa and Benjamin fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
We're talking to this incredible musician and all-round artist, Rorisang Sechele, who's just released in February this year an EP titled The Seed in Full Bloom. And she continues to tell us about her journey, her life, and of course, her music. Rorisang, you speak about the fact that, when it was finally time for the seed to be planted and to bloom, you got the opportunity and then, they asked you, hey, you can produce an EP, but you already had some music that you had in the background and some that you still wanted to produce. But I'm wondering about that music that you already had. It was there, it was stored, but you were not releasing it because you needed a certain confidence or maybe a vote of confidence from the external in order to say, hey, this is good enough to put in a project of work. Speak to us about the making of this project and, of course, mixing the music that you already had with the new music that you wanted to make.
Oh, wow. So the making of the music, most of the songs were written by me and co-composed by 2 friends of mine, Tebo Hokobedi and Phonics. He goes by the name Phonics. His name is Tato Mudika. So what happens is that I get a melody, I write something down, and I forward it or send it to Teboho or Tato, and they kind of just help me make it a full body of work. The musicians that were participating in the making of the music were Katla Homogwena on drums, I had VUM Kizana on double bass, Teboho Kobedi on piano, Tato Medika on guitars. Tato Medika also co-produced. In terms of mixing, Tato Medika produced it, and mastering was done by Desgray Mastering. So yes, and then we also have Ofensa Sebula on horns and Lebohang Komane on Ofensa Sebula on saxophone, Lebohang Komane on trumpet, and Ofensa Sebula arranged some of the horn arrangements. So yeah, it's just us getting into studio and just making it a full body of work that can be presented.
Fantastic. And I mean, you've had a few opportunities as well as we wrap up because we want to really hear more of your music. Rorisang, tell us a little bit about that Standard Bank National Youth Jazz Band in 2021 experience. I mean, you're working alongside one of the premium jazz artists right now in secular jazz music, Dr. Nduduzo Makhathini. How was that experience? But also, you also have a band called the Anchored Quartet. Tell us a little bit about your work there. What happened there?
Okay, so making it into the Standard Bank National Youth Jazz Band in 2021 was one of the stepping stones for me. It happened during COVID, so in terms of getting the full experience, we didn't have like the interaction that we needed. Everything was quite hybrid and virtual, and we had to meet at a certain place. But more than anything, Dr. Nduduzo Makhathini really wanted to do things differently in terms of what it meant to be in the band. He was like, yes, you guys will be in the band for this year, but what happens once this is over? And that was when he was like, let's actually make this an entire album. Let's make you guys a band so that even once the Standard Bank National Youth Jazz Band period is over, there is still some longevity you guys can experience as a band. So that's when we formed the band Shuri under his guidance and mentorship. And it was in that band where we really had to put on our business caps. So in terms of starting a business, thinking of publishing, thinking of marketing ourselves as a band, who to talk to. And that for me just changed the way I look at myself, not only as a musician, but as a brand or as a music business. So for me, being in the band was more than just live performance and singing and being under his mentorship. It really was also thinking of myself as an artist as a whole, And in terms of the Anchored Sound Quartet, that's actually not my band. That is a orchestra or a band by Ofense Piti, who happens to be the first female Black conductor.
Nice.
And I was just a part of the orchestra for some of the projects that she did. So she did a collaboration with Sanel. That's where it started for me. I was a part of the vocal quartet. So she did a collaboration with Sanel. And then we did the Kabza de Small Red Bull Symphonic. So I was a part of that under her band.
Oh, fantastic.
So it's not my band.
Okay, cool. But those are cool experiences nonetheless. But we have to leave it there. Let's wrap it up, Rorisang. Where can we find your music?
You can find my music on all streaming platforms: YouTube Music, Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer. You name it, you will find it everywhere. On my social platforms, Rorisang Sechele, and you'll find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere.
That is incredible. Thank you so much for spending your Friday with us and introducing us to this incredible music. The EP is titled The Seed in Full Bloom, and of course you can find it on all your streaming platforms. The Rorisang Sechele is the artist of the moment, and that's who we're profiling on today's On The Move. Well, let's move on with a little bit more music and hear this incredible songstress.